Admiral Tay's eyes shot open. The cold of stasis left his body slowly, like ice melting on skin. His muscles felt weak and stiff, as if he had slept for a very long time. The bright lights above him made him blink. Dr. Ju stood beside his pod, her medical scanner humming softly as she checked his vital signs. Her face showed worry even as she tried to hide it. "Welcome back, Admiral," she said. "How do you feel?" Tai tried to sit up, his arms shaking with the effort. "Like I've been hit by a transport shuttle," he said, his voice rough from disuse. "How long was I under?" Dr. Ju looked down at her data pad, then back at him. Her eyes held something that made Ta's stomach tighten. "Sir, there was a problem with the navigation systems," she said quietly, "according to the ship's calculations and stellar positioning." She paused, as if not wanting to continue. "Tell me," Tai ordered. "We've been traveling for approximately 500,000 years. Ta felt the room spin around him. The stasis plan had been for 30 years, just long enough to reach the colony system and establish a new human outpost far from the war. 500,000 years was beyond comprehension. "That's impossible," he whispered. "The AI systems have confirmed it, sir. The ships maintained themselves as programmed, rotating small crews in and out of stasis for maintenance and course corrections. But the malfunction sent us on a much longer journey than planned." Ta managed to stand, his legs unsteady. "Take me to the bridge." The corridors of the HFS Dauntless were eerily quiet. Most of the crew remained in stasis. Only a skeleton team had been awakened with him, standard protocol when approaching a destination. On the bridge, the main view screen showed a blue-green planet growing larger as they approached. Earth. Home. But something was wrong. The planet looked both familiar and alien at the same time. The continents had shifted slightly, their shapes altered by 500,000 years of geological change. And where there should have been orbital stations and defense platforms, strange crystalline structures floated instead. Captain Dai stood at the command console, her face grim. She turned as Tai entered. "Admiral on deck," she announced. The bridge crew stood at attention. "At ease," Ta said. "Report." "We're approaching Earth, sir," Dai said. "But we've detected no human signals. No communications, no defense alerts, nothing that indicates human presence at all." Ta stared at the screen. "What about those structures in orbit?" "Alien technology, sir. Nothing in our database matches their design or energy signatures." Lieutenant Ba spoke up from the science station. "Sir, I'm receiving data from our long-range scanners. There appears to be an advanced civilization on Earth now." "Human?" Tai asked, though he already knew the answer. "No, sir. Definitely not human. They call themselves the Drac, based on communications we've intercepted and decoded. And, sir, according to historical records we're extracting from their information network, they conquered Earth approximately 500,000 years ago." The bridge fell silent. Ta felt as if the air had been sucked from his lungs. "What about humans? Are there any records of survivors?" Bai worked his console, his fingers moving rapidly. "Still analyzing, sir, but initial findings suggest extinction. The Drac refer to humans as an extinct species." Ta walked slowly to the view screen, placing his hand against the cool surface as if he could touch the distant planet. Earth, the cradle of humanity, now occupied by alien conquerors while the species that had once called it home was apparently gone forever. "Show me the rest of the fleet," he ordered. The view screen changed to show space around them. 11 other massive warships hung in formation with the Dauntless, the last fleet, humanity's final military force, sent away during the darkest hours of a losing war. "All ships report ready status, Admiral," Captain Daz said. "The AI maintenance systems kept them operational. Weapon systems, shields, engines, all functioning at optimal levels." "What about crew?" "We have approximately 15,000 personnel still in stasis across all 12 ships. The AIs maintain the rotation schedules, keeping just enough people awake at any time to handle critical systems. Ta nodded slowly. 15,000 humans, possibly the last of their kind in the universe. Sir, Ba called out, I found something else in their communications. The Drak are a warrior species. They've conquered multiple worlds since taking Earth. They have an empire spanning several star systems now. Are they more advanced than us? Tai asked. In some ways, yes. In others, no. Our ships have been maintained and upgraded by the AIs over the centuries. Some of our weapons technology appears to be beyond their current capabilities. Admiral Ta straightened his back, feeling the new resolve strengthen his still recovering body. He may have awakened 500,000 years too late to save Earth from its first fall, but he was here now. And he commanded the most powerful human fleet ever built. Send encrypted communications to all ships, Tai ordered. Wake all command staff. I want full tactical assessment in 6 hours. What are your orders, Admiral? Captain Day asked. Tai looked around at the faces of his bridge crew, possibly the last free humans in existence, facing an alien empire that had taken everything from them. We were meant to preserve humanity by running from a war, he said quietly. It seems we've arrived just in time for a new one. The Drak took our homeworld and apparently wiped out our species. They believe humans are extinct. I intend to correct that misunderstanding. His eyes returned to the view screen, to the blue-green planet that had once been humanity's only home. Prepare the fleet, he said, his voice hard with determination. We may be late, but we have returned. The stealth shuttle touched down silently among the ruins. Lieutenant Sun checked her oxygen mask one last time before signaling her team to move out. The 6 soldiers stepped onto Earth's soil, their ancestral home, now an alien world. Remember, no radio communications unless absolutely necessary, Sun said quietly. Their tech might detect our signals. They moved through what had once been the outskirts of Seoul. 500,000 years had erased almost everything human. No buildings remained from their time. Instead, strange spiral towers rose into the sky, made of a material that seemed halfway between crystal and metal. The structures pulsed with soft blue light. The air readings are strange, whispered Corporal Kim, looking at his scanner. Higher sulfur content than Earth's original atmosphere. Oxygen levels are lower too. Sun nodded. They've changed the planet to suit themselves. The reconnaissance team moved carefully through the alien city. They wore adaptive camouflage suits that helped them blend with their surroundings, but they still had to move slowly and stay in shadows. Their mission was simple but dangerous. Gather intelligence about the Drak and search for any signs of human survivors or artifacts. Surgeon Han suddenly raised his fist, the signal to stop. Movement ahead, he whispered, pointing toward an open area between structures. The team froze, ducking behind a crystalline formation. A patrol of Drak soldiers marched into view. Sun got her first close look at the conquerors of Earth. They stood taller than humans, nearly 2.5 meters in height. Their bodies were covered in fine scales that shifted color slightly as they moved. A natural camouflage. Their faces were flat with wide-set eyes that glowed faintly in the dim light. They moved with perfect military precision, their armored bodies making almost no sound. 6 of them, Han whispered, armed with some kind of energy weapons. Sun watched as the patrol passed by, noting every detail of their movement and equipment. Once they were gone, she signaled the team forward again. For 3 days, they observed the Drak city, recording everything they saw. They learned that the aliens were highly organized, with a rigid social structure. They communicated through a combination of sounds and subtle color changes in their scales, and they had no idea they were being watched. On the 4th day, they left the Seoul region and traveled to what had once been Geneva, Switzerland. According to old Earth records, this had been the location of humanity's final command center during the war. The landmass has shifted slightly, said technical specialist Kang, comparing their geographical readings with ancient maps. But this should be approximately where the bunker system was located. They found nothing at first, just more alien structures and vast agricultural areas where the Drac grew strange blue plants. But Kang's instruments detected something unusual deep underground. "There's a cavity about 30 meters down," he said, "and it's lined with material that's blocking most of my scans. That's not natural." It took them hours to find an entry point, a maintenance tunnel that the Drac seemed to have abandoned. The team descended carefully, their lights revealing a passage that grew increasingly more human in design the deeper they went. "This was one of ours," Han said, touching the wall. "Look at the construction. This is human engineering." Finally, they reached a massive circular door of reinforced metal. Despite the passage of time, it still bore the faded emblem of the United Earth Defense Force. "It's sealed tight," Kim said, examining the door. "Power's long gone." "Can we get it open?" Sun asked. Kang stepped forward with his tools. "The locking mechanism is mechanical, not electronic. Smart design." They knew power might fail. He worked for several minutes before the door finally gave a deep groan and swung inward slightly. Sun led the way into darkness. Their lights revealed a large command center, frozen in time. The remains of ancient computers and communication equipment lined the walls, and in the center of the room sat a small device that looked newer than everything else. "It's a holographic storage unit," Kang said, examining it. "Self-powered. Impressive engineering. It was designed to last for millennia." "Can you activate it?" Sun asked. Kang nodded, pressing a sequence of controls. The device hummed to life, projecting a flickering image above it. A human general appeared, her uniform torn and bloodied. Her face showed exhaustion but fierce determination. "This is General Min of the United Earth Defense Force. This message is set to repeat for as long as the power holds. This is our final record, our testament. The Drac have breached our last defenses. Earth will fall within hours." The hologram flickered but stabilized. "We've learned something crucial in these final days. The Drac sabotaged our deep space fleet's navigation systems before they launched their main assault. They knew about the evacuation plan and altered the coordinates, sending the ships on what they calculated would be a one-way journey into the void of deep space." Sun felt her heart race. The general was talking about their fleet, about the very ships that had just returned. "We fought as long as we could," the general continued. "Some of our people may survive in hiding, at least for a time. But the organized resistance ends here. If anyone receives this message, whether human survivors or another species who might one day challenge the Drac, remember us. Remember Earth. And know that the Drac fear only one thing: the return of the fleet they thought they had sent to oblivion." The message ended there, the hologram freezing on the general's face before fading away. The reconnaissance team stood in silence. Sun looked at each of their faces, seeing the same shock and anger she felt herself. "They didn't just conquer Earth," Han said quietly. "They tried to make sure no humans would ever come back to reclaim it. They didn't expect us to return," Sun said softly. "They thought they'd sent us to die in deep space." Kim's hand tightened on his weapon. "But we did return." Sun nodded, a cold determination settling over her. "And now we know the truth. Let's get this data back to the fleet. Admiral Tai needs to see this." As they made their way back to the surface, Sun looked up at the alien sky above what had once been the human homeworld. The Drac had changed Earth, taken it for themselves, erased almost all signs that humans had ever existed. But they had made one crucial mistake. They had underestimated humanity's will to survive. And now, after 500,000 years, that mistake would cost them everything. The 12 massive ships of the human fleet hung invisible in Earth's orbit. Their cloaking technology, perfected over centuries by the ship's AI systems, hid them completely from Drac sensors. Admiral Ta stood on the bridge of the HFS Vengeance, his hands clasped behind his back as he watched the alien ships moving through space around their home planet. "All ships report ready, Admiral," Captain Daz said from her station. Weapons charge, shields at maximum. Ta nodded. Lieutenant Sun's reconnaissance data has been distributed to all ships. Yes, sir. Every captain knows what we're facing. Ta looked around at his bridge crew. The truth discovered in the bunker beneath Geneva had spread through the fleet. The knowledge that the Drac had deliberately sabotaged their navigation systems, sending them on what should have been a death sentence, had changed everything. This was no longer just about finding their homeworld occupied. This was about justice. It's time, Ta said quietly. Prepare to decloak the fleet. Position ships in formation Alpha. Target Drac defense platforms, but do not fire unless fired upon. The bridge crew moved with purpose, their hands flying over control panels. On my mark, Ta said. 3, 2, 1. Decloak. In an instant, 12 massive human warships appeared in Earth's orbit. The effect was immediate. Alarms blared across the Drac communication channels. 3 nearby Drac warships changed course, moving to intercept this sudden threat. They're powering weapons, reported the tactical officer. Hold position, Ta ordered. Open a channel to the approaching ships. The main view screen flickered, then showed the interior of a Drac command center. A tall figure with gray-green scales stood in the center. Its slitted eyes widened visibly at the sight of humans on the screen. Impossible, the Drac commander hissed, its voice translating through the ship's communication system. Your kind is extinct. We were delayed, Ta replied coldly. We understand you conquered our homeworld. The Drac commander's scales rippled with color, a sign of agitation, according to Lieutenant Sun's observations. Identify yourselves immediately, the Drac demanded. I am Admiral Ta of the Human Defense Fleet. These are Earth ships returning to Earth's space. The screen shifted, now showing a different Drac. This one wore elaborate armor with glowing symbols of rank. Its scales were darker, almost black in places. I am High Commander Rock of the Drac Imperium, it said. Your appearance is unexpected, but ultimately meaningless. Earth has been a Drac world for 500,000 years. Your claim to it is a footnote in our history. Your species is irrelevant. Ta kept his face expressionless, though anger burned inside him. We have seen the truth, Commander. We know your people sabotaged our fleet's navigation systems. You tried to send us on a one-way journey into the void. Rock's eyes narrowed. An ancient military tactic. Effective, or so we thought. Your return changes nothing. Earth is the heart of our empire now. You have 12 ships. We have thousands. We didn't come to start a war, Ta said, though he knew this was likely a lie. We propose a diplomatic meeting. Neutral ground. To discuss our situation. Rock seemed to consider this. Very well. A meeting. 1 cycle from now. At our station in lunar orbit. You may bring 1 ship and a small delegation. The screen went dark before Tai could respond. Captain Dai stepped closer. Sir, it's obviously a trap. Of course it is, Tai agreed. But we'll go anyway. We need to understand their capabilities better before we make our next move. 24 hours later, the HFS Vengeance approached the Drac lunar station. It was a massive structure, carved partly from the moon's surface, and extended with the same crystalline material they had seen in the cities on Earth. They have 20 warships in position around the station, reported the tactical officer, all with weapons powered and ready. Ta nodded. As expected, maintain shield strength. Keep our advanced weapon systems masked. Let them think we're operating with only basic defenses. The human delegation took a shuttle to the station. Tai led personally, along with Captain Da, Lieutenant Sun, and 4 security officers. They docked at the designated port and were met by a group of Drac soldiers. Follow, one of them said simply. They were led through corridors of alien design to a large circular chamber. High Commander Rock waited there, along with several other high-ranking Drac. Welcome to Drac territory, Rock said, not bothering to hide the disdain in his voice. This meeting is a courtesy. An opportunity for you to surrender your ships and accept relocation to one of our outer colonies. We might find use for your species yet." Ta looked around the room, noting the positions of Drak guards and the weapons they carried. "You misunderstand our purpose, Commander. We haven't come to surrender. We've come to reclaim what's ours." Rock's scales darkened with anger. "Earth stopped being yours 500,000 years ago. Your claim is meaningless." "Not to us," Ta said simply, "and not to the other species you've conquered since then. We've been monitoring your communications. The Era, the Lum, the Centauri, all subjugated by the Drak Empire, all waiting for a chance to be free." This seemed to hit a nerve. Rock stepped closer. "You know nothing of our empire. You are relics, fossils. Your technology is ancient. Your numbers are insignificant. Are you so sure about that?" Tai asked quietly. At that moment, alarms began to sound throughout the station. A Drak officer rushed into the chamber. "High Commander, the human ships, they've disappeared from our sensors." Rock turned back to Ta, eyes narrowed. "What have you done?" Ta smiled slightly. "Merely demonstrated that perhaps our technology isn't as ancient as you believe." The entire station shuddered suddenly. The lights flickered. "It seems this diplomatic meeting is over," Ta said calmly. "Captain Da, signal the fleet." Before the Drak could react, the human delegation activated personal shield devices. Technology the Drak clearly didn't possess. Energy weapons fired by the Drak guards dissipated harmlessly against the shields. Outside, the true battle had begun. The 11 cloaked human ships had positioned themselves strategically around the Drak fleet. When they decloaked and opened fire, the Drak were caught completely by surprise. The human delegation fought their way back to their shuttle, Drak weapons proving largely ineffective against their advanced armor and shields. They launched from the station as explosions rocked its structure. Back aboard the Vengeance, Ta watched as the human fleet methodically disabled the Drak warships. The ship's AI systems had spent centuries perfecting weapons that the Drak had never encountered before. "All Drak vessels neutralized, Admiral," reported the tactical officer. "Minimal damage to our fleet." Ta nodded. "Open a channel. Broadcast on all frequencies used by the Drak Empire." When the system was ready, Ta stood tall before the camera. His voice was calm but carried undeniable authority. "This is Admiral Ta of the Human Defense Fleet. To all worlds conquered by the Drak, to all species subjugated under their rule, and to the Drak themselves. We have returned, and we remember what you did. Earth was our home. You took it from us. You tried to ensure we would never return. You failed. This is just the beginning." He ended the transmission and turned to his crew. "Set course for the fleet rendezvous point. It's time to gather our allies. The war for Earth has begun." Tactical Officer Kyo stood before the gathered fleet commanders, his face glowing in the blue light of the holographic display. The room was silent as he presented the data recovered from the captured Drak vessels. "The Drak Empire is larger than we first thought," Kyo said, zooming out the star map. "They control 43 star systems and have subjugated 17 different species over the last 500,000 years." Admiral Ta studied the display, noting the vast reach of their enemy. "Tell us about these other species. Potential allies." "Most likely," Kyo nodded. "The Drak rule through fear and force. They don't inspire loyalty." He touched a control, and images of different alien species appeared. The Era are an avian race. They were the first to fall after humans. The Lum are crystalline beings who communicate through light patterns. The Centauri are aquatic. All of them maintain underground resistance movements. Captain Bin, commander of the science vessel Horizon, stepped forward. "With your permission, Admiral, I'd like to lead a diplomatic mission to the Ara homeworld. Their resistance network is the most organized." Ta considered this. The human fleet was powerful, but they were still just 12 ships against an empire. They needed allies. "Approved," he said. "Take the Horizon. Its stealth systems should get you past the Drac patrols. 3 days later, Captain Binge's ship slipped through the atmosphere of the Ara homeworld, a lush planet with towering forests and floating crystal islands. The horizon landed in a hidden valley where Ara resistance fighters waited. The Ara were tall, elegant beings with feathered crests and sharp, intelligent eyes. They stood nearly 3 meters tall, their wings folded against their backs. Their leader, Sentinel Kai, approached the human delegation cautiously. "You are the Ancient Ones," Kai said, studying them with bird-like movements of his head. "The ones who came before. We thought you were just legends." "We are very real," Bin replied. "And we've returned to fight the Drac." Kai led them to an underground chamber where dozens of Ara gathered. The walls were covered with drawings of their history, including images of the Drac invasion centuries ago. "The Drac have ruled our world for over 100,000 years, Kai explained. "They take our resources, force us to work in their mines, and kill any who resist. We share a common enemy," Bin told the gathered Ara. "Together, we can end their tyranny. My people have technology the Drac cannot counter. You have numbers and knowledge of their current operations." The Ara discussed among themselves, their language a beautiful mixture of whistles and clicks. Finally, Kai turned back to Bin. "We will join you," he said, "and we can help you contact the other subjugated worlds. We have secret communication networks the Drac have never discovered." While this alliance formed, another remarkable discovery was taking place. Deep space scout ships had detected unusual energy signatures from a cluster of stars far beyond Drac territory. Commander Gill led a small expedition to investigate. What they found stunned them all. 7 planets, each terraformed to resemble Earth, each inhabited by humans, but not quite the humans they knew. These were descendants of colony ships that had escaped during Earth's fall 500,000 years ago. Isolated and adapting to different environments, they had evolved differently. On one world, humans had developed tough, leathery skin to withstand harsh solar radiation. On another, they had grown taller and thinner in the lower gravity. Some had even developed limited telepathic abilities to cope with electromagnetic interference that prevented normal communication. Commander Gill stood in the Great Hall of Novaterra, the central colony world, facing a council of leaders who looked both familiar and alien to her. "Your ancestors spoke of Earth," said Matriarch Yuma, her eyes larger and more sensitive than standard human eyes. "They passed down stories of the homeworld and the Drac who took it from us. We never thought we would encounter our ancient cousins. We need your help," Jill explained. "We've returned to reclaim Earth, but the Drac Empire is vast." Yuma smiled. "We have been preparing for this day for 500 millennia. Each generation has trained and built ships and weapons, all in hope that someday we might be strong enough to challenge the Drac." She led Gil to a massive underground hangar where hundreds of warships waited. "We may have evolved differently, but we never forgot where we came from. Our fleet is yours to command." Back at the human fleet's hidden base, Engineer 1 had been studying the Drac technology captured during their battles. He worked day and night, barely sleeping as he analyzed data streams and communication protocols. When he finally emerged from his lab, his eyes were red from exhaustion, but he wore a triumphant smile. "I found it," he announced to Admiral Tai and the gathered commanders. "The Drac's fatal weakness." He activated a holographic display showing a structure on a distant moon, orbiting a gas giant deep in Drac territory. The Drac operate as individuals, but their military is connected through a centralized consciousness network. It links their ships, their commanders, their entire defense system. Every Drac soldier has a neural implant connecting them to this network. Juan pointed to the structure on the moon. "This is their primary hub. There are 7 backups across their territory, but this is the main control center. We hit this," he explained, his finger tapping the image, "and their entire military neural network collapses. They'll be in chaos, unable to coordinate their forces or respond to attacks in any organized way." Admiral Ta studied the image. It will be heavily defended. The most heavily defended installation in their empire. One agreed. But we don't need to destroy it. We just need to upload this. He held up a small data crystal, a virus designed to corrupt their network. Once it enters their system, it will spread to every connected Drac in the empire. Captain Dive frowned. What will it do to them? Nothing permanent, one assured her. It will disable their neural implants for approximately 50 hours, more than enough time for a coordinated attack across multiple fronts. Ta looked around the room at his commanders, then at the representatives from the Ara, the Lum, and the other allied species who had joined their cause. The Novataran fleet was already en route, bringing hundreds more ships to their alliance. We will have one chance at this, Ta said. The Drac have ruled this part of the galaxy for 500,000 years. They believe themselves invincible. He smiled slightly. It's time to correct that misunderstanding. He turned to the star map showing the Drac Empire, and at its center, Earth, their ancient home. Prepare your ships. Send word to all our allies. In 7 days, we launch the largest coordinated attack this galaxy has ever seen, and we take back what's ours. The largest fleet ever gathered in the galaxy moved into position. 3,000 ships from 17 different species formed attack groups around key Drac worlds. At the center of the main fleet, Admiral Ta stood on the bridge of the HFS Vengeance, watching as the final preparations were completed. All ships report ready, Admiral, said Captain Da. The Novataran fleet is in position at the network hub, added Lieutenant Ba. Era forces are standing by at the secondary targets. Ta nodded. For 500,000 years, the Drac had ruled through fear and violence. Today, that would end. Send the signal, Ta ordered. All ships, commence attack. Across Drac space, the Alliance struck simultaneously. The surprise was total. While most forces engaged Drac defenses, a small team led by Engineer 1 infiltrated the network hub. They fought their way to the central core and uploaded the virus into the Drac consciousness network. The effect was immediate. Across the Empire, Drac soldiers and pilots suddenly lost coordination. Their neural implants shut down, leaving them confused and disoriented. Ships drifted out of formation. Defense systems failed. Meanwhile, Admiral Ta led the primary assault on Earth itself. The human fleet tore through the orbital defenses. Dropships carried troops to the surface, landing near what had once been humanity's final stronghold. Ta stepped onto Earth's soil for the first time. The ground beneath his boots wasn't truly Earth soil anymore. It had been changed by centuries of Drac occupation, but it was still home. Move out, he ordered. Primary target is the Drac Command Center. The human forces advanced through the alien city. The Drac tried to mount a defense, but without their neural network, they couldn't coordinate effectively. The humans, along with Era and Lum allies, pushed forward steadily. Sir, called Lieutenant Sun, pointing to a building ahead. According to the plans, that's where humanity made its last stand. It was a government building before the fall. Ta looked at the structure. The Drac had built their main command center on top of humanity's old Capitol building. A final insult to the species they thought they had defeated. That's our target, Ta said. All units, converge. The battle for the command center was fierce. Even without their network, the Drac fought with determination. They had ruled for too long to surrender easily. Ta led from the front, his weapon cutting down Drac soldiers as his forces pushed into the building. Admiral, Captain Min's voice came through his comms. The network hub is destroyed. Their communications are completely down across the Empire. Push forward, Ta ordered. This ends today. The final confrontation came in what had once been the council chamber of human government. High Commander Rock stood with his elite guards, scales dark with rage. You have lost your empire, Ta told him. Surrender now. Never, Rock hissed. This planet is ours. It has been ours for 500,000 years. We remade it in our image. No, Ta said simply. You just borrowed it for a while. Now we're taking it back. The fight was short but violent. When it ended, Rock lay defeated, and the human flag flew once more over Earth's capital. In the days that followed, reports came in from across the galaxy. The Drac Empire was collapsing. Planets that had been under their control for centuries declared independence. The Alliance forces prevented the worst of the chaos, stepping in to maintain order and prevent revenge killings. 1 week after the first attack, Admiral Ta stood on a hill overlooking what had once been Seoul. The Drac structures were being dismantled. Ships from across the Alliance filled the sky, bringing supplies and support. Dr. Ju joined him, carrying a small container. "The first batch from our genetic archives," she said, opening it to reveal small green seedlings. Oak trees. They once covered this region. She knelt and carefully planted one in the soil. "It will take time," she said, looking at the altered landscape around them. "But one day, this will be Earth again." Ta watched as Alliance ships entered Earth's orbit, not as conquerors, but as allies helping to rebuild. All across the planet, similar scenes were playing out. The 17 species that had suffered under Drac rule were working together to create something new. "What happens now, Admiral?" asked Captain Da, who had joined them on the hillside. Ta looked out at the vast work ahead of them. Restoring Earth would take generations. The planet had been changed too much for a quick fix. But they had time now. "We established the memorial first," he said, "where humanity made its last stand. To remember what happened here." "And then?" Dr. Ju asked. "Then we build something better than what came before. Earth will be the center of a new federation. Not just for humans, but for all the species who helped liberate it." In the valley below, he could see humans working alongside Era, Lum, and even some Drac who had chosen to stay and help repair the damage their species had caused. The Novaturan humans, with their evolved forms, moved among their ancient cousins, sharing technology and knowledge gained over their separate journeys. "We came for vengeance," Ta said quietly, watching the first sunset over a free Earth in 500,000 years, "but we'll stay to rebuild." As darkness fell, lights came on across the valley. Not the blue glow of Drac technology, but warm yellow lights that somehow felt more like home. Tomorrow would bring more challenges, more work to restore a world long lost. But tonight, they had accomplished what once seemed impossible. Earth, the ancient home of humanity, was free again. The end.